on behalf of Dean, Deputy Dean, and all members of School of Computer Sciences in this August gathering for intellectual discourse, wherein Dr. Thavamaran Kanesan will conduct a workshop on thesis writing journey, the key elements to graduate before time. At the end, questions for any clarification will indeed be invited, which the presenter would be pleased to answer. Please post your questions during and at the end of the talk in the WebEx chat box. Moreover, for any assistance during the session, you may contact the WebEx co-host of this workshop. Please do remember to switch off your microphone, mute. The schedule of the workshop is we will start with the talk, Thesis Writing Journey, the Key Elements to Graduate Before Time by Dr. Thavamaran Kanesan. And then from 4 to 4:30, question answer session will be held, followed by closing and feedback at 4:30 to 4:40 p.m. There will be a bonus as well. Fill up the feedback to obtain the notes and slides from the speaker. I hope you will enjoy this bonus. Please do fill up the form. Before giving the mic to Honorable Dr. Thavamaran Kanesan, it will be my pleasure to introduce him. He has completed his PhD degree in engineering in less than 3 years, majoring in the integration of fourth generation long-term evolution, LTE, and optical communications. Thereafter, he slowly founded Proofreading. Please mute mic. Okay, I will start again. He has completed his PhD degree in engineering in less than 3 years, majoring in the integration of fourth generation long-term evolution, LTE, and optical communications. Thereafter, he solely founded Proofreading by a UK PhD, an academic consulting firm that provides services across many verticals. The firm has grown from having a single founder to currently employing over 87 consultants all over the globe, and currently serves corporate and universities in over 33 countries, including UK, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Korea, Australia, and many more. In his personal research journey, Dr. Thavamaran has an exciting publication record and awards with more than 60 publications within 5 years, mostly published in SCI, SSCI, ISI, Quartile 1 journals, and low acceptance rate conferences. Without further ado, now I request Dr. Thavamaran Kanesan to start telling us his interesting thesis writing journey. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizwan. That was a fantastic introduction. So can you hear me clearly, Dr. Rizwan?
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, excellent. So
you
thank
can
you
share,
very much.
so
Yeah,
you
sure.
can share your
I'll
slide.
share.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll do that. Okay, so okay, fantastic. So let me just open a couple more things. 150 participants so far. Thank you very much to all of you who have joined us. And then I also open the chat box, which is very, very important. To those who have questions, I know some of you might they want the answers immediately, so no problem, don't worry. You can always drop your questions here in this chat box. And as Dr. Rizwan highlighted, please kindly always keep your mic muted. In case if you want to speak to me, you can always unmute. Feel free to ask any questions, anything that is related to the session today. And also, this is a very informal session, so feel free to ask questions. Okay. So as I say, if you have any questions along the way, please kindly share it here on this comment box. During any online classes, I always leave it open, so I can always communicate with you. So with that, let's get started. So we have 120 now, okay, more joining now. So I'm going to talk about thesis writing, kind of a very mini journey of mine, and how that led to graduating before time. Okay. So graduating on time, graduating before time, it might sound like a trending thing, like a branding thing, and like a fun fact item. But I have to tell you personally, it involves a lot of pain, a lot of work, blood and sweat all together. Okay, so it's not going to be an easy one. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so why we are conducting this talk? Okay, as part of proofreading by UK PhD's initiative. This is how we give back to our community, follow Malaysia as well as Indonesia, any other and any other countries that are interested. So that's why we call it CSR talk, corporate social responsibility, that we want to give back to universities, university students, and so on. Okay, so this is what we do on a yearly basis. Last year we didn't do much because of MCO, but then looking at this year, I don't think MCO is going anywhere. So that's why we choose to just do it online. All right, so I would like to thank Dr. Keng for organizing this talk today. Thank you very much, Doctor. And also Ms. Haziqah and also Ms. Izzati as well as Dr. Rizwan for moderating and also hosting the session today. Okay, so this is a bit about me. So before I start the session today, do I have the eligibility to talk about graduating before time? That's what I have to explain to you. So this is my personal profile. So before anyone can talk about graduating on time or graduating before time, first they have to experience it. They have to enable it. Once they have enabled it, then they are allowed to share with anyone in the world. Same goes to any theories or any new results they would like to share. Once you have experienced it, once you have proven it, then we can share it. So similarly, my journey, I've completed my PhD, okay, back in 2013. Thereafter, actually, I completed within 2 years and 11 months, so I call it graduate before time. I never did my master's, I skipped my master's. As soon as I completed my bachelor's, I worked in industry for very short time. And then I choose to continue my research journey. Okay, I kind of like research. I kind of like exploring new things. I'm not someone who basically carry out the same task every day. That would be very boring for me. It would be less challenging for me. Therefore, I went into PhD. I want to, doesn't matter what particular area, doesn't matter what field at that point of time, as long as I get into a PhD and as long as I can do research and contribute to knowledge, I'm more than happy. Okay, so that's why I choose PhD. So I went to Newcastle University. I went to Northern University at Newcastle. Um, it was very tough to actually venture into PhD without a master's degree. It's graduating before time or on time is already impossible. Doing it without a master's was horrendous. Okay, so I used to work at least part of the experience. I used to work at least 16 to 18 hours a day. I wouldn't say non-stop, then I'll go crazy, but it was consistent. Okay, it was consistent. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Appreciate that. It was very consistent hours, and in the span of that 3 years that I was there, um, I basically never had any holidays whatsoever. I only had like one holiday that I took to go to southern part of England. And on the way, I went to London, and that's about it. And probably I think once I went to a place called Durham, very beautiful place indeed. So these are the sacrifices that I do. So basically, it was just work, everyday work. Because why? Why that was important to do? I wouldn't encourage you guys to do that. You guys should enjoy what you're doing. But then my time was limited. Okay, because when I started my PhD, when I got the scholarship, I went to my dad. I told him I got a scholarship to do PhD. And then he asked me how long do you have it for, like the scholarship? I said, as long as I finish within 3 years, then the scholarship is there. Then he asked me what happens if you finish after 3 years. Then I told him that you got to start paying my tuition fees. He said, no way, I'm not going to pay. So, there is no way. So either you finish within 3 years or after 3 years, you just quit and come back. That's literally what he told me. So then he gave me another advice. He said, if you have a span of 3 years, then why do you assume that you have 3 years? Why don't you assume you only have 2 years? So that way, knowing you, know how lazy you are, you might eventually try to finish it within 2 years, 6 months, or even 3 years. That extra time. So then I told him, you know what, it sounds like a plan. So that's exactly what I did. Okay, so I went into my PhD. It's a crazy plan. Okay, was a desperate plan. So I went into PhD. I told myself, okay, you know what? I only got 2 years now. I'm not going to go beyond that. I will do whatever I can within that 2 years, as much as I can. So within 2 years and 1 month, I started writing my thesis, to be honest. Yeah. So I completed 12 publications within 2 years, and within that third year, that means within the 2 years, 1 month, I already published 10 papers. I have 2 more coming on the way. So I call it 12 publications during my PhD. 8 ISI journals, Q1, and then 4 ISI conferences, okay, IEEE conferences. Since most of you are from computer science, you guys know what is IEEE and how tough it can be. I'm not talking about IEEE local conferences. I'm talking about IEEE GlobeCom, IEEE ICC, IEEE Infocom, and so on. So these are top-notch conferences. IEEE OFC as well. I don't know whether you've heard of IEEE OFC or not. OFC is one of the most important conference in the area of optical fiber communication, at least in my area. So yeah, so I managed to get a paper in IEEE ICC. That was one of my finest achievement. I also got one paper in IEEE GlobeCom. I have 5 to 6 papers, I mean, as of now. But during my PhD, I had one more paper in IEEE OFC as well. Okay, so these are conferences that are tougher than journals. I have to be honest to you. These can be as tough as IEEE transactions. I believe all of you would want to publish in IEEE. I can tell you hands down, IEEE is way tougher than Elsevier. Okay, if you think Elsevier is tough, I would say IEEE is way beyond what we can imagine. Okay, one of my IEEE journal in IEEE Journal of Lightweight Technology, impact factor 3.4 or 3.6 now, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That took 1 year and 8 months to get it published. Yeah, I started that somewhere second year of my PhD, and eventually it got accepted. But I mean, major revision, minor revision, and then another minor, followed by only then I got the acceptance. So it takes a long time. So during my consultancy, whenever students comes to me and ask me, I need quick publication, I'll tell them, well, there is shortcut. You can go to journal agents and so on. I wouldn't encourage it because a lot of scam things going on. So be careful who you ask for help to publish. My advice to you is always try to go back to the journal itself. Okay, you can submit to them directly rather than using an agent, because sometimes I've even seen cases where agent basically created a mirroring website similar to a journal, and then they sort of created a very similar looking website, and they get people to submit and so on, and eventually it was accepted, published, and so on, but it was not actually on the journal website itself. So this is something a client shared with me recently. So what happened was that they submitted through the agent said the paper is all published. You can see the list here, it's all online and so on. But eventually it's not that journal, it's a mirroring website. Okay, so yeah, so be careful. Okay, be careful. So there is no quick publication. The moment you want publication, I believe USM require publication before you can graduate, but don't try to rush into it. You have to plan early. When you start itself, you have to start writing your papers already. Whether you start with postgraduate conference, basic conferences, that's up to you. Okay, when I started with the most basic conference, postgraduate conference, just to get myself trained and used to the whole system. Okay, so thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thank you, Sharul, Abdallah, Sulaiman. I'm glad, Ibrahim, you're in optical fiber area. It's a very tough area. I'm glad. Okay, so then after my PhD, I went on to work as a postdoc in AIPT Birmingham. Aston Institute of Photonics Technology is one of the best photonics research center in the world. They have some of the top-notch professors with over 15,000, 20,000 citations. So I was there for almost a year, and then I got bored of UK, and then I said, you know what, it's time for me to get into industry, apply whatever I've learned, patent some things and commercialize some items. So then I came back to Telecom Malaysia R&D. Okay, this is a very good ground for me to learn. And since you guys are in computer science area, most of you at least, after your PhD, try your best to go get into industry. Actually, you learn a new paradigm of research. Okay, and that is what I learned here. So I was there for about 5 years. During my time here, I learned a lot. Okay, way more than what I can imagine in university. Because I went through a journey of commercializing from research all the way to all the way to commercialization. That means all the way to deployment of system and so on. So we had system deployed in Malaysia, a very new system, some of the first in the world, and we are very proud of it as well. Okay, so always try to go back to industry. We have a question here. I wonder why you did not apply for IEEE senior membership. Actually, I wasn't bothered because I'm also already in industry, and then eventually I went into entrepreneurship. So IEEE senior membership doesn't really contribute to what I want to do. Okay, it's just it's important if you're in academics, but in my line of work, I don't think that is important for me. So I'm more into other industrial-based certifications like ISO certification, SFEP certification, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now currently, while I was in industry, I started this company, and now I'm full-time into this. I'm the chief editor and founder of Proofreading by UK PhD, okay, the biggest academic consulting firm in Malaysia with ISO 9001 certification. One of the few in the world actually have the certification for academic consultancy business. I'm also an adjunct lecturer with UTP. UTP hired me, I think, 2 years ago to specifically focus on enabling undergraduate students to publish more. So they wanted me to enable that. I've accumulated over $5 million of grants over the years of research career. I have more than 60 plus publications. This is sort of slowed down after I came into full-time entrepreneurship journey. But during my initial years of research, when I was in postdoc, when I was doing my PhD, and when I was in TM R&D, I published a lot. Okay, so during my year in TM R&D, my first year, I published almost 15 to 16 papers just in a year. So that was my track record. And then eventually I put all those energy into developing my own business, my own company. I have 3 US patents, okay, all 3 granted. I have about 8 global standards. Global standards that I contributed to ITUT. I believe you guys know what is ITU. ITUT, I contributed to ASTA, Asian level standard. I contributed to 3GPP as well. So these are all new standards that we contributed based on my patents. And also I was a consultant for Georgia Tech, Atlanta. We consulted on building commercially viable system for them. I have about 6 different awards and 4 dozens of invited talks. Okay. And this is what I've created so far, not only in terms of research, but in terms of entrepreneurship that I'm very proud of. So we are proofreading by UK PhD. We are the only ISO certified company. We are also recognized by SIPP, Society for Editors and Proofreaders. Now they are known as CIPP, I think, based in the UK. We are also HRDF registered, Malaysian Ministry registered. These are our footprints so far in terms of where our presence are, where we have reached. Okay. Most notably now recently we have reached Mexico as well, somewhere, I think somewhere here, or here, not somewhere here. Okay. So we are also the official proofreader for UKM, UPM, MABMS, UMK, Journal of Medical Sciences, USIM, UNIMAS, MARDI, and we were also part of JSB USM when they were applying for AACSB. Okay, we were part of the partnering firm for that. Okay. So in terms of achievement, we have completed more than 14,600 documents today. Of that, theses are about 7,500, 6,900 articles. All right. Okay. 500 plus 50 grants and CVs. Okay. What kind of services do we provide as a firm? We provide content-related services and as well as language-related services. Okay. Forget services apart. Let's throw that aside. But when it comes to you guys, when it comes to writing, okay, writing, always start from looking at the content part only. Don't bother about language part yet, because the moment you start bothering about this, then the delay will occur. Okay, the delay will occur because you care so much about language. End of the day, you won't be writing much of a content. Okay, that is the common problem that I see and I experience amongst researchers. Okay, we have over 97,000, no, we have over 87,000 followers on Facebook, both page and group. So I kind of talk to a lot of people, along my journey. Usually when they always bother about language a lot, unfortunately, they won't be writing much. Okay. So my advice to you is write first, and eventually, if you want to learn how to proofread, how to improve your language and so on, there is no harm doing it, but do it after you complete your content. Okay, when I say content, it refers to thesis content, publication content, your analysis chapters or papers, your viva response. Okay, how do you respond to your proposal defense and examination viva, your thesis? How do you convert thesis to journal? There's also a problem with content. And also, okay, this is nothing. This is workshops and so on. Okay. And then only you bother about language, whether it's proofreading with structuring, or whether it's paraphrasing, whether it's formatting or translation. All this you bother about later. Okay. This comes first. And then only this. All right. Okay, these are some of our achievements, our very, very important, notable achievements in terms of publications. This is a normal thing for us nowadays, but publication are still what we are very, very proud of. Okay, these are some of the notable achievements that I only have space to share. The rest are all in an album within my Facebook page. And the key notable publications that we have achieved so far, the highest level is this. This is from Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, Dr. Adila. Actually, this is the highest because now the impact factor is 12.7, I think. So this is the highest so far. Followed by my dear friend Dr. Zayed from Palestine. He's one also very high. Very good paper, Journal of Cleaner Production. Impact factor more than 7. And followed by, I believe most of you would have heard Dr. Herol. He is the SLR expert in Malaysia. We work very closely with him. This is his first SLR paper, Systematic Literature Review, that got into ISI Q1 Journal, Impact Factor 7. This is a paper without any data whatsoever. Okay, this is just complete systematic literature review paper. All right. So for you, if you ask me, can I actually get into ISI Q1 paper or Q2 paper without data? Yes, you can if you follow SLR method. And this is one of those papers. This is actually our first SLR paper that got into ISI Q1, thanks to Dr. Harold as well. Okay. And followed by, this is his recent achievement. He got into ISI Q2. Actually, between now and 2 years ago, us and Dr. Harold, we have already completed, I think, 7 or 8 papers, all in ISI, SLR paper. This is the most recent one. Speaking of the devil, Systematic Literature Review on Community Preparedness for Earthquakes. This is ISI Q2, Impact Factor 2.427. I'll explain to you later on how you can dissect the publication. Don't worry about that, all right? So coming to one of the most important segments that I contribute to all students all over the world, as well as researchers and academicians. These are my free Facebook class. Okay, so let me tell you how to, how to access them. Let me share how to access. So if you go to Facebook, okay, I believe all of us have almost the same interface. So let's say if you search for proofreading by UK PhD here, okay, you won't be having this button here because I'm the admin. This basically this column here. So all you need to do is search for proofreading by UK PhD. So you will go to this particular page. Okay. Thank you, Sharol. Thank you, Sharol Hussain, for following my video. Okay, so before I share this, yeah, that's a very good thing. How many of you have never watched my live video before? Free on Facebook. Been doing for more than a year now. 1 year and 6 months now, I think. How many of you, 1 year and 3 months? How many of you have not actually watched my video on Facebook? Do respond to this comment column here. We have 161 members here. I believe a few of them are hosts. The rest can definitely respond. So please comment here how many of you have never watched my live videos yet, the free classes that I offer. Okay, Noor. So Noor said haven't. Okay, Arkan first time, Lenovo. Okay. I didn't get your name, Lenovo. What is your name? Iqbal, all right. Okay. Darshan, Rania, Reta, Kamran, Rohida, you haven't. Okay, Sada, Tita, Nurul, Intan, Oyelami, Nanlir, Razel, Robinson, Jackson, Vikram, Ibrahim, Yasrul. Okay. Okay, seems like majority of it. That's very good. That's very, very good. I love to see when people say they haven't attended yet. Yes, I will definitely do that, Dr. Kamran. Okay, coming to that very soon. I'm designing all the upcoming events. I've already finished all the past season class last week. We have completed. The last class was a scoping review paper. Okay, so I'm going to tell you where to find the videos. Okay, all the recorded videos. Don't worry, all the videos are there. 80 videos. Okay, so all you need to do is go to my page, Proofreading by UK PhD. First two things you need to do. You have to like and follow. The follow button will be right there. For me, the review is different. For you, the view would be completely different. Okay. So make sure you click the follow button and the like button, and then you go to this tab, live. Okay. Haha. So here you can see last week I did scoping review paper. 5 days ago, I did theoretical framework, conceptual framework. And then a week ago, I did paraphrasing for fast thesis journal writing. A week ago, elements to graduate before time. 3 weeks ago, all about journal publication. 3 weeks ago, again, conceptual framework design, and so on and so forth. So you can watch all the videos here. Systematic Literature Review and Prisma 2020, ISI Scopus, journal rejection, how to write research grant. This would be very helpful for academicians. Writing PhD research proposal as well, very important. 8 weeks ago. Paraphrasing again, proposal defense and viva. 25 important questions here. Okay, how you can prepare. Two to three PhD candidates have gotten minor correction in the past 1 month, 1 or 2 months after watching this video. Okay, so that was a feedback from them. They say it's very, very good. Exactly what they wanted when they went into the room. So it was good. I mean, when they went into the online room. Okay. So qualitative research, systematic literature review again, how to choose theory, how to work on a research design, how to make a pilot study paper, how to write chapter 1, how to write background, how to write review paper, and so on and so forth. So you can find a lot of videos here. So all you need to do is go to Proofreading by UK PhD page and like and follow, and you can go to the live tab to watch the video during your free time. Okay. Okay, next thing. We also have our own community called Effective Academic Writing. Next to Doctorate Support Group, this is the fastest growing group in Malaysia and also all over the world. We have already hit 44,000 members. This was 43,000 last Thursday. Okay, and now today is already 44,000 members. What do we do in this group? Let me go to Effective Academic Writing now. This is my group, and it's very filtered. I don't post crappy things. So it's usually information. Okay, so as you can see now, we have already hit 44.4 thousand members. As coming up, SLR courses by Dr. Herol. And then I shared this yesterday, how to build the matrix method of literature review. What it means by graduate on time or before time. Okay, and many different information, like this is how to do sampling for qualitative research. Yeah, that as well, Dr. Kamran. And then the types of reference style. This was a recent live class on how to build literature matrix, how to self-edit your writing, and so on. So many, there are a lot of resources here, enormous amount of resources, which we share on daily basis, writing the literature review for empirical papers and so on. Where can you get the links to join these groups, pages, and so on? Very simple. Let me do it for you. Let me show you. Okay, I'm sharing with everyone in the chat box. Please have a look. So the first link will get you to my Telegram group, direct access to me. So whenever I go live or whenever a new live class is coming up, I'll be sharing in this Telegram group, followed by Facebook group. This is the link for this group. You can join Facebook page earlier. If you remember, I just showed you earlier. This is the link to that page, and this is the excuse me. This is the link to the complete playlist of all my videos, all my free classes. All right. So these are the 4 important links to all of you. Thank you very much. Ms. Nurul. Thank you. So guys, don't forget, please go and watch. You can't wait for your tips on GOT. So you can find the video here as well. I mean, these are different videos, and these are all other links. All right. Let me close this. Okay. So I've already shared the links here as I've shared here. Okay. So now looking at where we are heading towards today, we are going to look into tips and tricks for quick writings, how to paraphrase strategically for a thesis, how to efficiently write every section with the funnel technique, followed by how to get every chapter right and avoid major correction. Okay. So, okay. Now, before I start, I want to communicate with all of you. All right. So I want a two-way communication with you guys. I can see that you guys are very, very active. First of all, at which stage of PhD or master's you are? Start at the starting stage, at the proposal stage, or at the thesis stage? And do you want to graduate before time, on time, or after time? So do all of you answer to these 2 important questions. so I can know the audience today. Okay. Proposal GOT, thesis, already after time, don't worry about that, Ibrahim. Okay, right. So I can see a lot of proposals, right? Okay. Okay, so now to all of you who have responded, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So this is how I would explain the journey of PhD. Okay, this is how I would explain the journey of PhD to all of you who are responding. Thank you very much. So we have how I would define PhD is by defining them into steps. Okay, because you know why? PhD is a journey. Okay, it's not a one thing, one particular product that you can buy off 7-Eleven. Okay, it is not. PhD is a journey. It's over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, even 10 years. So I would dissect them into 11 different steps, starting from step 1 all the way to step 11. Okay, 11 different steps, right? So now, these steps I'll be sharing later with you. Okay, so don't worry about that. These steps just indicating for you what you should be doing at that particular step. Example, step 1, you should be doing 10 pages proposal before you start. So if you're at the start of the PhD, your supervisor tell you know what, write proposal now, I want to see what you want to do. You should start off with 10 pages proposal. That way you can inform your supervisor, what do you intend to do, right? Step 2, full proposal. That means chapter 1 to 3. Followed by proofreading, when to produce journals, when to prepare for defense training, for defense, and then when do you, once you go for proposal defense, after proposal defense, you must immediately complete your defense correction, and then your proposal completes, followed by data collection, analysis, chapter 1 to 5 alignment, final proofreading, and prepare for Viva and go for your Viva. All right. And here is another point where you can produce another 2 modules. Okay. So these are step by step, process to get a PhD. Now, in terms of time frame, how long do you need for these particular steps? It might sound crazy, but we have done this for more than 12, 13,000 PhD students. This is roughly the amount of time required for them at every step. Okay. Example, step 1 about 1 month, step 2 about 3 months, step 3 about 1 month, producing journal about 6 months, step 4 about 2 weeks. Proposal defense, we don't have a time because it depends on the university. Step 6 takes you about 1 month. PhD thesis takes you about 3 months. Data collection also no timing because it depends on your methodology. Followed by chapter 1 to 5 alignment about 1 month. Preparing for Viva 2 weeks and so on and so forth. Okay, so let me calculate in total how long will it take. Okay, 1 plus 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 15, 16, 16, 22 months, 23 months, and about 25 months. So 25 months by right, you can already complete your PhD with publications. I know it's not that straightforward. It's not ideal case for everyone, but by right, this is the time required for you to complete. So if you say 25 months instead of 36 months, so that means you have at least 11 months of buffer period. Okay, what is that buffer period for? We don't know how long you're going to wait for your defense. We don't know how long your Viva is going to take. For the examiner to confirm. We don't know how long your supervisor will take to read your thesis, your papers, and so on and so forth. We don't know how long you might fall sick in your life. You might want to take holidays. You might take a break and so on. So all those are buffer period of you have up to 11 months. Okay. So if you want to do a plan for your PhD, this is the step-by-step, month by month basis that you can follow very closely. Okay. Let's say if you take more time here, then you try to reduce the time taken here. So you have to compensate for that. All right. But by right, this is the amount of time required, ideally without any other problem, to finish your PhD and publications. All right. So from Rania, actually journey time depend on students' time management, and for the mothers it's big challenge. Yes, of course, for mothers it's always big challenge. I totally agree with that, Rania. Don't worry. Okay. Shahira, yes, manage the time that you can control. So this is within your control. What is not within your control is this. Okay, so therefore you got extra time. Even if it's out of control, you can chase after it. Provided you optimally finish these 25 months properly to develop all these particular sections. Okay. Okay, now what kind of papers can you generate? What kind of papers can you generate along your PhD time? So before your during your proposal time, this is your proposal, this is your thesis. Okay. Proposal, you create concept paper, protocol paper. This is applicable for narrative review method, even for computer science. This is more of a medical related studies. Let's say if you're doing computer science for medical related studies, you can look into protocol paper. Okay, and SLR paper is applicable across the board. So you can create this kind of papers during your proposal stage. This is Scopus candidate, ISI candidate if you write it correctly. After your what do you call that? After your data collection, your proposal and so on, you already got data. Then you go for empirical paper. In computer science, you can slice the papers. We call that salami slicing. Okay, it's a very well-known technique called salami slicing. This is where you can slice down your results to produce more papers. Okay. When it comes to engineering, computer science, and so on, it's much easier to do that because if you run, let's say you create an algorithm, you're doing a test, you're doing a certain study optimization, that can be one paper. And then you are carrying out another optimization, you are developing the algorithm further, adding more instrument, more algorithms, more breakdowns, and so on. You test on different methods, different level of system. That can be another paper as well. Okay, so such and such and such, you can break down further. Okay, and then followed by you can produce another systematic literature paper or scoping review paper. This is a very broad kind of review. To know more about this, go back to the live classes I shared earlier. Why I shared all the live classes before I start, there'll be a lot of items today. I'll be linking back to those videos where you can go because I only have one and a half hours. I won't be able to cover the entire journey, but I already did all the videos beforehand. You can go and watch those videos. Like scoping review, you want to learn how to write it, you can go back to my live classes on my Facebook page. If you want to know how to write SLR paper or concept paper, also you can go back to my Facebook page, go through the playlist, there will be videos there. Okay. Dr. Kamran, read many papers as evidence of literature. Read many papers as evidence of literature, calling salami slicing having negative impression. Don't know why. Depends how you look at it. Salami slicing is what is known as the overall term. Whether negative or positive, people who don't know how to slice, they call it negative. Okay, because they don't know how to do it. When you don't know under something, you don't understand something, you tend to call it negative. Once you already find the technique, you know how to slice your results carefully, strategically, you will call it being smart. Okay, all right. So why would I want to, chuck in all my results and produce a 40 pages paper when I can slice it into 3 different papers with almost the same literature review as long as I know how to paraphrase. Okay, I'm not going anything against the system because I have important results. I have very novel results that I think has to create a story. I don't want to put all of it into one paper, which most likely may result in rejection because it will be very lengthy, very hard to read. It is very hard to write a very long paper. It is much easier to write smaller papers. Okay, because long papers you can easily lose your audience as they read your paper along them. Okay, Sharul, Doctor, could you advise me when's the best time I should produce thematic paper? Well, I still don't understand why people need a thematic paper when you already have an SLR method. You can always do SLR method for you to produce SLR paper. Thematic paper is not very widely accepted. It takes a lot of struggle to convince people to get thematic paper accepted. Okay. No problem, Tangkamran, no problem. Olu Segun, can you please send this lecture to? Yeah. Definitely, we'll do that. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, the inception. Now, starting of the thesis. One good news, only one. There's nothing else good news I can give you about PhD. There's only good news is you only have to write one thesis to complete your PhD. That's the only good news I can give you. Okay. First step towards writing, always sort out the skeleton. What is skeleton? Skeleton is known as table of content. Establish a free writing schedule. Okay, this is a schedule. which follows according to this timeline given. You can connect it back, right? See, all this writing schedule, everything, it's only useful if you follow it. If you don't follow, it's just another document, right? Begin by free writing. Why? Because this will break the barrier. Every day you don't sit down, look at your PC, look at your laptop, write the first sentence, and then you'll be like, what am I supposed to write next? I really don't know. Should I open the literature? Then I'll be thinking, should I copy from this and rewrite again into my own understanding? I don't know if this is the right sentence or not, and so on and so forth. This is what you'll be spending most of your time on. My advice to you is if you need to copy, you copy. But you rewrite it. When you rewrite it, you already break the ethical problem thing because you're basically copying and you're rewriting to learn. You are not a Harry Potter book writer, right? You have to understand that. You have problem with writing, then you find a technique to solve that problem. I'm not asking you to copy and paste and leave it. I'm asking you to copy, paste, and I wouldn't call it copy. I would call it adapt and adopt. Put it on your paper or on your thesis, rewrite it to your own understanding. That way, you are basically understanding how to write. And eventually, your writing will be much easier along the way. Okay? Keep a small notebook with you, whether it's digital or hard copy notebook, it's up to you to write down relevant thoughts because as part of PhD problem that you might face, you will tend to become more forgetful. All right? Always switch off WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Lazada, Shopee, Amazon, whatever you have when you're writing. Okay, and if you can, after MCO, try not to write from home because you need to isolate yourself for optimum results. Okay, you can easily produce 3 to 4 publications per thesis. How do I know I produced 12? Okay, so if I'm telling a fraction of that is possible, it is absolutely possible. Okay, unless you don't know how to salami slice, you don't know how to do a review, and so on. That means that is not the limitation of PhD, that is the limitation of your knowledge, which you should go and develop on how to produce those papers. And always use EndNote and Mendeley to manage your reference, but citations, references, and so on. But you must understand the format is always not precise. If you're using EndNote or Mendeley, you will still find problems. So end of the day, after you use the software, make sure you go through the references again. Okay? I do follow first 5 points. Point 6 is tough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Asma, no other choice. You have to. All right? At least for short time. Okay? Get someone to read your chapter as you write. Okay? Why? Only then you will know whether what you're doing is correct or wrong. Okay. Mindset, very important. Don't conclude your writing unless you finish at least a section. Why? This way you will tend to write more. Okay? At the end of every chapter, treat yourself, feel good about it. You have completed perhaps 20% of your thesis. Let's say if you have 5 chapters, each chapter constitutes equals to about 20%. So every time you finish a chapter, make sure you treat yourself so that you don't burn out. Burnout is a serious problem. Next thing, be absolutely focused. Think about all the good things that will come after the completion. Psychological motivation is very important when you're in PhD. Okay, because if you lose your spirit, your supervisor is not guiding you, is not helping you, this is the common issues that you will face. I will tell you how to resolve those issues later. Remember, do it yourself, do it for your family, and do it for your future. That's why you're here. Self-monitor all the time because no one else bothers, including your supervisor. I'm not telling this in a negative method. Okay, I'm not telling this in a negative point. I'm telling this because they are very busy. They don't have time to think about whether you're progressing or not, how you're doing, and so on. It's your PhD. They have already completed their PhD. They're sitting as a lecturer already, or professor, assistant professor, and so on. You have to chase after your future now. So therefore, self-monitor. You're not in high school anymore. Always keep that in mind. And don't give reason to yourself. This is a common thing that we all do, even including me at the moment. We always give reason to ourselves. Okay? How to deal with burnout? Do what you love the most. Like in my case, I watch a lot of Netflix. I watch a lot of films. Okay? Yeah, that's all I do to avoid burnout, especially now lockdown, right? Or I will travel. During my PhD, I was so into completing it because I wanted to leave my PhD as soon as possible, leave my supervisor behind and go and have my life. I wanted to live my life as much as possible. Okay, as soon as possible. Because I didn't enjoy my PhD. I enjoyed research, but the journey I did not enjoy much. All right. So as Dr. Nurul here said, watch Korean. Korean is interesting as well. So Ibrahim, can you please send the slides later? Yes, as I answered earlier, we will send the slides. End of the session, please make sure you fill up the feedback form. Okay, and I'll be sending your the slides and other notes I'll be giving as well through email to all of you. Okay, so please stay until the end. If you miss out, you don't fill up the feedback form at the end, you won't be getting any slides. Okay. Okay, yes, Dr. Nurul, you are absolutely right. Okay, so so coming here, top 9 PhD tips that I strictly followed. Okay, that I strictly followed during my PhD. First of all, I decided there is no way I'm going to quit, because if I quit, I cannot go back to Malaysia. My father will definitely not accept me back. Okay, so it was a very challenging, emotionally what you call the conducive method. Okay. So I told myself, I'm not quitting at all. No way. Next thing, I always seek for new novelty. Always. Because why? I want to publish more papers. Why more papers? I can only get a job if I secure more papers. That much I understand about PhD. All right. So if you're doing this for your research, for your career, you don't have a job yet. After your PhD, looking for a job, find more novelty and publish more. Read and be absolutely critical. Don't depend on supervisor. I'm not telling this in a negative mode. No negativity here. I'm telling this in a positive mode. Why? Because the supervisor got publication to write. They have grants to write. They have supervision. Okay. Then they have teaching. They have undergraduate student. They have administration. They have conference to organize. What else? Damn, that's a lot. Okay, they got so much of things to do. So that's what I'm telling you. If you're in PhD, please don't depend on a supervisor. Okay, you are on your own. The sooner you realize that, the easier your life going to be. Okay, again, this is not any negative point to supervisors. I'm just telling that they have so much to do, and it's PhD. It's not undergraduate or masters anymore. Right? Next thing, focus on writing all the time. Read a lot of thesis. Why? Because if you're going to construct something, you better look at how others have constructed before. Therefore, reading thesis is very important. Pick 3 to 4 good theses that you would like to follow for the rest of your journey. Allocate it right now. Go and look for it if you don't have it already. Okay, next thing, publish, publish, and publish. Very, very important. Keep publishing as many as you can, as best as you can. I'm talking about ISI. All right. Don't be shy to ask questions. Like today, most of you are commenting. You guys are very active. I appreciate that a lot. You guys are not shy. For those who are not responding, not commenting, not bothered, there's something that you are reserving yourself from commenting. So therefore, when you are stuck reading a paper, most likely you won't be asking for help. So you'll be stuck forever. My advice to you is once you are stuck, okay, once you are stuck, you don't know what to do, make sure you go and ask questions. You go and ask people. Okay? All right? Thank you very much, Noradin. I appreciate that. Darshan, do we need fund to publish paper? Actually, no, you don't need at all. You don't need a single penny to publish paper. Unless if you choose open access, then yes, you need to pay, of course. Nowadays, there are more open access journal than normal journal. But if you go for Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Springer, what do you call that? Which is another one? Wiley, Emerald, IEEE, they are all free. Most of them are free. Open access are the ones that you want to publish quicker. That's what I'm telling you. Way in advance, plan early. Okay? IEEE access is crazy. I'll tell you in the next slide. Okay? So for you to learn more about this, go back to my playlist, my Facebook Live playlist, and watch this video. Okay? This is what I call a planner. Okay? Make sure you have this. But I think most of you will have this, but you won't follow it. I'm not blaming you. It is a normal thing. Because you know why? The moment you do this, I'm being very practical to you. Okay, we are all human beings. We are not some Superman or no, we are not part of Avengers team or something like that. Okay, we are just common human beings who tend to plan, save it somewhere, and never actually open and look back again. Okay, all right. We have a question here. Thanks, Nasir. Thanks. Can I apply all these tips to my master's thesis? You can apply to any thesis you want. No problem. It will work. Okay. This plan here, we all can make and we'll save it somewhere, we'll never follow, eventually we'll graduate after 4 years or 5 years. But what I can tell you is, you can plan all this and still follow. There are two methods. First of all, get a very, very, very small whiteboard about that size. Okay, not this small per se, about that big. All right, so everyone looking at me, right? So I'm right here. Okay, I'm waving my hand. So you must get a whiteboard about that size. Okay, so once the whiteboard is there, write down this plan. Okay, let me go in detail. 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 2, 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and so on. Write it in more detail. Write when you're going to give draft 1, and then forget draft 2 for now. Draft 1, and then once you get it, then you write down when you're going to give draft 2, and then final one. Okay, if that is your final, right? Now, how do you, okay, I write on whiteboard, but still I don't think I'm going to look at it. But put it somewhere that you look at, like you will always, look at a certain wall, put it on it. Okay, example, now you go into your house. The first place you go into your home or your room is your, you'll be looking at the wall, right? So put it on that wall. It might look ugly, but who cares? You finish your PhD, you can always do whatever you want with the wall, right? Um, or you can put it somewhere that frequently, maybe in your office, maybe in your office desk, okay, somewhere on the wall, all right, somewhere that you will always stumble upon very frequently, that you will turn and look at all the time. So whenever you look at those timing, you will feel very guilty. Eventually, you'll get back to it. Okay. Another method, you have laptop, or you have desktop, or you have iPad. Okay. Make this as your wallpaper. This thing. Make this as your wallpaper. Sticky notes also can be useful, but sticky notes can go missing very quickly. Okay, very quickly. You just fall off, and eventually you might forget about it. All right. But I do use sticky notes as well. So laptop, make this as a wallpaper. So every time you turn on, whether you want to do your work, you want to watch YouTube, you want to watch Netflix, and so on, the first thing you'll be looking at is your timeline. Okay, evil, right? I am being very evil to you now, but you have no choice. You have to complete your PhD or your master's. All right. Next thing, where do you get your thesis from? Sample thesis. Okay. Good place to ask is your supervisor, the best person. If he doesn't have one or she doesn't have one, you can go to OATD, Open Thesis, or ETHOS, or you can go to your library, okay, to get an online version, or you can ask your colleagues, right? Next thing, papers you can download from Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic Library, review papers, and so on and so forth. Mistakes to avoid when you adapt or adopt content is to paraphrasing out of context. Okay, I'll show you an example later. Try to avoid out-of-date content. That means references that is older than 5 years, unless those are principles, first underlying paper, theoretical underlying paper, and so on. Those can be old. Okay, and don't copy results. Never. No way. Nada. All right. Okay, so Abdullah Yusuf, do I keep writing when my supervisor has not reviewed my previous write-ups? It's not safe. It's better if he reads and reviews and then pass it to you, because otherwise your corrections will be massive. Okay. So, all right. So even when we consult students, when we coach, when we teach people, when we tell them what to do and so on, usually when we go chapter by chapter, we will tell them once you finish chapter 1, let's wait first. Get your supervisor to approve and respond. You know why? Because we always respect supervisor. Supervisor is your director of studies. Okay, he's the boss. So let's say we are doing an external party, we are giving you tuition, coaching you, teaching out, right, and so on, because you're having trouble, but you must always go back to your supervisor for approval. That is something that you can never escape from. Okay. And where else can I go and download papers? You can go to Clarivate Analytics, Web of Science. You can go to SJR, Scopus.com. You can go to ABDC. Okay. You can go to ERA as well. But if you go to SJR, if you go to ERA, always look for bills list. Make sure the journals are not under bills list. If they're under bills list, try not to cite those. Okay. So, Saimakan, by the time we can write papers, I don't understand that. Can you please repeat that question? Dr. Kamran, anything we should never ask our SV, anything that you feel that you will offend your SV, don't ask. Okay. All right. So where can you also look for papers in terms of publication house? Just now earlier was indexing database. Now according to publication house, publishing houses we call them. All right. starting from Elsevier, the biggest, okay, Taylor and Francis, MDPI, Wiley, IEEE, Sage Journals, PLOS, Nature, Emerald. Okay, let me give you an example, the difference between IEEE and Elsevier. Okay, last year I tried to publish a paper. I don't have any KPI, I don't have any IEEE membership whatsoever, but I still publish. Okay, because publishing is something within my hobby. So last year I published one paper. I tried my best. I published one paper. I found time for it. So first I submitted to IEEE. Okay, was rejected. But I'm not in PhD. I don't really bother about writing back to IEEE because IEEE is very tough, right? I used to have that drive when I was doing PhD and my postdoc and when I was in industry, but nowadays I just want to get it published. That's it. So what I did, I just took the paper, resubmitted to Elsevier, got minor revision, paper got accepted. Okay, that is the difference. All right, this is very, very tough. Right? How many of you here actually uses two screens when they work? Okay, please comment in the comment column. Quick one. All of you, come, chop, quick. Update in the comment column. How many of you actually uses two screens when you work? Okay. Okay. I can see it's 50-50. Some said yes, some said no. All right. Okay. One day you are easily working more than 8 hours, 7 or 8 hours. Okay. You don't want to be straining your eyes. Okay. If you ask me how I sustain to work long hours, because I have huge screen. Okay, I have huge screens, 24-inch, 21-inch. During my PhD years, I actually saved money to buy screen because when I went to Northern University and I saw all the office, all of them uses two screens. And all of them got big screens. Okay, because you know why? They don't want to strain their eyes. They work long hours. Okay. Why two screens? Okay, firstly, two screens are important because let's say you have this screen. Okay, you have a laptop. Now, okay, let's say you don't have this screen now. You have only this. This can be a laptop, or can be a desktop, or can be an iPad, or can be a phone. Right? Now you are reading something. Okay, you maximize your read and then you copy. You want to paste this in your Word document to rewrite it. Example. So now you maximize your Word document. You paste it and then you write. Right? And then suddenly you're like, okay, what is the next sentence? Because you have to end the sentence, right? What is the next sentence? Now you minimize again, you maximize again, you read the next sentence. Okay, then you minimize, you maximize, you finish the sentence. Okay, put full stop, then you minimize, you maximize, you look at the next sentence, maybe you don't know how to copy, you just have to continue writing. Okay, so then what you do, you open the next paper, you take the next context, you minimize again, maximize, and then you write again. Isn't that tiring? Don't you guys feel tired with one screen? Minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize. Even I get tired by just saying it, right? So I think all of you hardworking PhD researchers, master's researchers, you guys deserve better than this. Okay. I would recommend all of you to go and get a screen. Mac and screen is fine, but phone and laptop is definitely not. Because handphone screen is very small. You don't want to do that. Okay, you don't want to strain your already stressful life. Okay, honestly speaking, PhD is a very tough journey. Why would you want to make it tougher by looking at handphone, looking at small iPads and so on? Buy big screen, invest on it. Okay, don't worry, invest on it. I'm not selling screens here, don't worry. Okay, but Shahira is selling screens, so you can talk to her. All right. So if you have two screens, what is the benefit? Two big screen, or your laptop and a good big screen. You maximize your paper here, you write, you read, you write, you read, you write, minimize, maximize, you read, next paper, write. Okay, let's say today I'm lazy, I don't want to write all the time. So I have my YouTube up, my YouTube is running, I'm watching some TV or some serial, and then I'm writing. Okay, and then I take about 5 minutes break, I just watch again, and then write. But if you have only one screen, okay, if you have only one screen, let's say you're watching YouTube today, you're like, I don't want to do anything today. Your YouTube is on, don't have this screen. So you just watch only because you won't have the intention to write because there is no way for you to write. You're so into YouTube. But let's say if you have opened the screen here, you have YouTube running here, the guilt feeling will make you to come back here. Even maybe you close your YouTube and continue writing. Okay? All right? So Dr. Gunn said, agree, better invest on the screen rather than spectacle screen later. Very true. Okay. So don't use your phone to read. And I mean, you can do it when you're on bed, you want to sleep, you just read a bit and then you go to sleep. That's fine. Okay. But don't make it a habit, a full-time thing. You're going to strain a lot. As I told you, your life is already stressed out with your work, with your kids, with your family, with your PhD, with your whatever money, with MCO, with COVID, all these things. Our life is not as ideal as possible. We are not in Disneyland. So why would you want to use handphone, iPad? Go get a laptop, open it. If you're using laptop, you are traveling a lot, but you want another screen, very simple. There's such thing. If you go to Lazada Shopee, you got laptop like this. Now you can buy a latch-on screen, which you will just sit on it. You can just hold it. Okay, and you just extend the screen. You can keep it, but take it with you anywhere you go. All right. So please go and invest on this. Trust me, 2 to 3 years down the line, you will come and thank because many are thanking me already. All right. Okay. Okay. Now coming to paraphrasing, because since you are writing, you are reading, you are bringing in a lot of other content, you are writing, rewriting, and so on. Okay. Some of you might be sold with the idea of using Quillbot or any other software to paraphrase. You might be using it. You might not know how much impact it's giving to you. Let me show you how much impact it's giving to you. All right. This is a write-up from a student from USM. Okay. From USM, because USM has a policy where they will store their students' thesis in repository. Okay. Once you submit. All right. I think most of you are aware of it. So what happens is you won't be able to extract papers and send it because it's already in Turnitin. But this student never realized after proofreading, he took the paper, thesis, he extract papers, he submitted to the journal. Journal rejected. It's a very high Turnitin. Then what happened? He never came to me because he found a cheaper solution. Obviously, software is cheaper. So people were selling online in a lot of groups saying that this is the savior of humankind. This will paraphrase for you, will do everything that you want. Okay. So this student went and bought it. Sorry, I'm laughing. Okay? Because I saw what the student went through. So he used Quillbot, he paraphrased the whole paper into a new paper. So then it got rejected again. It got rejected again. The editor said this and the editor was furious. He said, how come you are writing like this? Your write-up is so bad and you're claiming things that are not true. So he rejected altogether. He said, don't resubmit again. Unfortunately for him, don't resubmit again. So if you read, let me show you some examples. You look at down here, this is my analysis. To analyze why the editor said such thing. Red thing is total change of context. Yellow item are all basically bad structure and grammar. So this yellow ones are all bad structure grammar that is induced by Quillbot, but that's okay. That's okay. That's not my problem here. Although it's a problem, but we'll leave it aside. But my important concern is context. Okay. So you see here an example. You look at the red color here. Yeah. Look at here. It's somewhere here. Okay, here. In 58, okay, in 58 DRAN, okay, DRAN is a technical term, a distributed scheduling algorithm for general TDMA WSNs is proposed. Okay, a distributed scheduling algorithm. You guys all know about algorithm. You guys are computer science experts. Once Quillbot paraphrased it, it shuffled the sentence and it became a distributed scheduler for general TDMA WSNs is proposed in 58 DRAN. You see how screwed up the sentence is? And instead of, let me read this again, a distributed scheduler for general TDMA WSNs is proposed in 58 DRAN. I don't know what does that mean now, but a distributed scheduling algorithm became a distributed scheduler. So instead of an algorithm, it became Google Calendar because it's scheduling now. A distributed scheduler probably over Google Calendar, right? The next important thing, one of the most important here, okay? TDMA scheduling schemes are very complex and mostly require centralized implementation and can potentially, okay, increase end-to-end latency, okay? When Malaysia Ministry announced that when there was a new variant of COVID came in, they announced that if you use double layer mask, one cloth and one normal, what do you call that, 3-layer mask, okay, with another cloth mask, it can potentially reduce the risk of getting COVID infection, right? Okay, that is potentially. Potentially is not equivalent to theoretically. What it means by theoretically? Theoretically means it's proven. There is a theory to back up, right? So what Quillbot did was, TDMA scheduling schemes are very complex and require centralized implementation often and can theoretically increase end-to-end latency. So potential became theoretical. So if your English is at the basic level, you're not so sure, then you might just take this paper and submit because you're not sure, right? But theoretically and potentially are two different things. This is not proven, this is proven. So this is the major reason that the paper got rejected and made the editor very, very angry. He became furious. And you know what? After all this damage done for the whole paper, from 100%, it only got down to 61%. So please, guys, don't use software. These red color are all out of context. All of this one all out of context. Completely changed. All right. So what I did, I took up the challenge. I said, you know what? Give me the original paper. Forget about this. This one you can scrap altogether. Give me the original paper that I did. Okay. I'll paraphrase for you. So I paraphrased this personally. One night I sat down and I paraphrased personally. Okay. This is what I paraphrased, and this is the percentage that I got. Okay. 100%, I broke it to only 3%. Okay. Within one single round, and the paper got accepted after that. Okay, it's coming to another journal. Paper got accepted after that. But this is just to highlight to you the danger that you are in without understanding. All right. Okay. Be careful. Don't use software unless you know what is going on. Okay. So here, let me see. Dr. Kamran, when you turn it in and delete your manuscript from there, it still says your paper remains there for 1 month time, so it will affect our paper submit any journal. Please go into editing settings, disable the keep repository option. Okay. While use editing, change settings, don't submit. Okay. Similarity index software 2018 catch many universal terms which are globally used and cannot be changed. Sometimes this problem also increases similarity index. Yes, definitely. Okay, Salim, where to have 2018 service? Sorry, I'm new PhD student. You can always talk to US. They have that. Okay. You cannot get 2018 software. If anyone gives you 2018 software, no you please run away. Those are all illegal software. In our case, we have special access with universities, okay, where they allow us to use their 2018 software. We have special agreement. We use universities 2018. Okay, we have 2 to 3 2018 softwares, centers that we actually scan it. And we do provide service to scan 2018. You can always come back to us, and it's guaranteed won't get into repository because we know how to configure it. Okay, so be careful. Don't get your paper or thesis stored in repository. It's a big headache to remove it. Okay, so that's that. And please paraphrase on your own. If you don't want to spend money, give it to someone to paraphrase. I totally understand. But don't use software to paraphrase because you don't know the amount of mess it's creating. Okay. Next thing, usual problems. We can skip this. This is fine. Okay, this is what I call table of content. Okay, so I believe all of you know what is table of content. My advice to you is before you start writing, design table of content for all the chapters, example proposal chapter 1 to 3, then only you start writing. Why? This way, you can explain to the supervisor what is your intention to write, what you want to write in every subsection. If they agree with your idea, the funnel, how you want to write, then you should be most likely on the right track. Okay? Okay. Now I'm asking you, okay, a true honest question. Even if there is table of content, I still can't write. What is the meaning of that? I still don't know. Okay? Why? Let me tell you why. This is a very common problem that I found among many students. Okay? This is the main problem. We call this procrastination. Okay? So you have a circle, plan. This is what I should do. And then you also have a circle where you want to do things I would like to do. But end up, you never do any of this. You do something else. You write, you do things I do when I'm procrastinating is this. So instead of working here, you will be here. Okay? So you will be here WhatsApping, Lazada, Shopee, WhatsApp group with friends, Telegram, and so on and so forth. Instagram especially as well, Twitter. Okay, so what happens? You don't end up doing this. All right, so is it true or not? To at least most of you. Is this the problem that you're facing? Okay, I have spoke to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Okay, honestly, and this is the most common problem. That digital device is a true disaster sometimes. Okay, the one that you hold in your hand, it's a true disaster sometimes. Okay, so that is something that you have to look at. What you can do, I would advise you to do is isolate yourself, lock yourself in a room, okay, and then whatever literature that you need, download, okay, download all the literature, keep it in your desktop or laptop or wherever, and then your phone, put it into airplane mode, your PC or your laptop, turn off the Wi-Fi, okay, so having everything offline and then start writing. Okay, don't turn on your laptop's Wi-Fi. What you can do is you can have someone at home to make sure they have the password for your Wi-Fi. So every time you turn off Wi-Fi, this is something a bit hard to do. You can forget password in your Wi-Fi in your laptop, so that you cannot even rejoin. You have to get someone to come and make sure they enter the password for you. Okay, this is how you can tight lock yourself. All right. So hard to avoid using Instagram, Facebook. I know. Can we get lecture record after it ends? Definitely you can. Okay. Oh wait, are you guys recording to get the lecture record?
Yes,
I
Dr.
do not.
Thava. This
Okay,
session
okay,
is being
Dr. Keng.
recorded. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, yes, Dr. Thava, give us favor to share your recording. Yeah, definitely I'll share. I mean, Dr. Khan will share. Don't worry. Okay. So next thing, now coming to the main agenda. Okay. So before this, I already shared all the tips and tricks and things you need to do, how to focus, how to psychologically tune yourself, your brains, everything. Okay. Thanks, Omer. Thank you very much. So now the next item is going into the topic itself. When it comes to abstract, okay, when it comes to abstract, yeah, it's a summary of important elements. We call that executive, okay, executive summary. Okay, that means it's a summary of your whole thesis. That is what we call abstract. Okay, so Nuruddin, I think most students are now addicted to phones. Let not our phones prevent us from doing what we are here for. Exactly. That is very true. Okay, so when it comes to abstract, it includes introduction. Oh, sorry. Okay, it includes introduction, statement of the problem, background of the study, research questions or hypothesis, methods and procedures, outcome and significant contributions. These are the parts that you must have in your abstract. All right. Followed by what should be the length of your abstract for proposal and thesis? I'll answer this, don't worry. It should be 1 page or less for proposal, and for thesis, it should be 1 to 1.5 pages for your abstract. Okay. Next thing, chapter 1. Chapter 1 constitutes of the most important parts are background, minor literature review, problem statement, solution, and then, oh, sorry. Okay. Now, after solution, you have what we call here as RO, RQ, if you have RQ. Usually, science guys, engineering guys, they don't have something called RQ. RQ is usually to address hypothesis. Okay. Followed by significance and so on. But these are all not a big deal. These are the most important part. Because if we don't establish a clear motivation within these sections, the rest will be useless. People won't appreciate what you're doing. Okay? So you must make sure you write a very good background, a very good minor literature review here to connect your problem statement and then finally solution. Okay, if you see my breakdown here, this is what you need to do. In your chapter 1, introduce your audience to your subject. Include some statistics or how important is this topic. You must always have these 2 items. Extra, you can have anything that you want according to supervisor, but these are basic items you must have. Next thing, within minor literature review, you describe the key past literature. Okay, key. Start from bigger picture and work your way down. This is what we call as funnel. What is funnel? Sorry. What is What is funnel? Background is a very broad statement, followed by the motivation that connects your background to your problem statement. It can be part of your background as well. It narrows down further to give motivation why you're doing this in the first place. Then it connects to a problem statement, and finally to a solution, or what we call as purpose statement, and then only you go into your research objectives. Okay. Next thing, this is what we call as thesis contribution diagram. Okay, also known as K chart. I just knew this name recently because last time I drew this without knowing what kind of chart I need to draw. I just drew it to explain to my supervisor what are my contributions and why I'm ready for Viva. Okay, so this is the story. After writing 12 papers, I went to my supervisor. I told him, you know what, doctor, I'm ready to graduate. It's about time I start writing now so that I don't need to pay my write-up fee. Okay, because even if you exceed your 3 years, okay, you don't need to pay full fee if you're already writing a thesis. So there's something called writing up fee, which you have to pay, I think, about £1,000. Still a lot of money. Okay, still a lot of money. So I tell him I don't even want to pay a write-up fee because I don't need to. I already have enough to graduate. So he said, okay, if that's the case, you're so confident, why don't you write down 1 or 2 pages of all your contributions? Let me see whether it's enough or not. I was like, okay. So I went back, I wrote about 1 to 2 pages of all my contributions. Came back, passed it to him, he went through halfway, he said, you know what, I don't want to read all this. Why don't you go and draw a diagram? Okay, show me what you have contributed so far. So I went back, I sat down, I thought about it, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I drew my subject research focus, further subsection of what I'm focusing into. So this is the area, this is my system, this is an alternative system, followed by what do you call that? My system breakdown. Okay, 2 different breakdown, followed by different technologies and different equipments. Okay, so here yellow color means all contributed. Okay, so these are all my contributions at every different segments. As you can see here, let me run all this. As you can see here, my first contribution is connected here. My second contribution, my third contribution, fourth contribution, fifth contribution, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, these are all 12 contributions that resulted in my 12 papers. Okay, so when I showed this, he was very clear. He knew under what environment, under what subsystem, I contributed what technology, what knowledge. Okay, and this was kept in my chapter 1. So when my examiner was going through my problem statement, research objective, and then when he came to this part, he was like, okay, what is this? Okay, then he asked me, what is your contribution? And then I turned to this page. I told him, these are my contributions. These are all the permanent parameters, permanent new results that I have presented as part of my findings, which resulted in, I split to the next page. I showed all my full publication list of my 12 papers. So that has already sealed my whole PhD. Okay, from then onwards, it's just research discussion. Okay, all right. Basically, just a very scholarly discussion saying that where we can do, what we can do next, what you have done here, or how else can you, would you have done it, and what else would you be able to do, and so on and so forth. Okay, all right. Thank you, Sharul. Thank you very much. So this is how you can design contribution diagram. We call that TCD, thesis contribution diagram. Okay, some might say this one is only applicable for engineering and so on. I don't think this is applicable for other studies. Okay, well, here's another completely opposite area. She is one of my consultee. Okay, 2 years ago, Dr. Anusha, she graduated PhD in law from UUM. Okay, she used the same PCD concept. Okay, for her thesis. Okay, so these are all existing areas. This is the whole topic. These are all existing areas, existing contributions. And the orange color is new. The orange color is basically representing all the new contributions. Okay, and when the examiner saw this, they were flustered. They loved it. Okay, because very easy for them to follow where are the contributions actually. Okay, thank you very much, Muhammad Khan. So my advice to you is always try to draw that one particular diagram. It will be very helpful for you. Okay, next item, problem statement. Okay. Problem statement you can break down into a few different areas. Okay, put the problem in context, describe the precise issue, show the relevance of the problem, set the objectives for the research. Okay, I'm going to scroll through this very quickly. But don't worry, this full video of just problem statement writing, there's 1 hour class just on this, 3 or 4 different classes. Go to my complete playlist again for Facebook live class, you'll be able to find it. Okay. So problem statement, you can break down into 4 different segments. What do we already know? What do we need to know? Why do we need to know it? What will you do to find out? Okay, basically, existing literature, from the literature, what we need to expand further, and why we need to expand further, and how will you expand further. Okay, thank you, Aliyo, appreciate that. Okay, these are some of the recent inspiration from my consultees, okay, and my proofreading clients. This year alone, okay, I have already have 3 more graduated within last month, but I have not time, I haven't found the time to add them yet. But this is Dr. Ravi from MMU, partially blind, managed to complete PhD in slightly over 3 years. Okay, came to me towards the mid of his PhD, and finally we managed to get him across. Okay, he finished already, moved on with his life now. Next one is Dr. Muthu, full-time lecturer, who also managed to complete slightly over 3 years. Also one of my consultee. They went through my 11 steps framework I showed earlier. They all went through the same framework. Dr. Sung Kai Kit from UiTM Malacca. Okay, he was not my consultee. I was only in charge of proofreading his thesis. Slightly over time only. Okay, I think about 3 years plus only. Okay, next one is Dr. Umul Hanim, also known as Faisal Hanim, from UMS. Also not consultee, only proofreading part. Completed slightly over 5 years, okay. Worked very hard. She is my track record of the year. Everyone is very proud of graduating before time, graduating after time, but I'm very proud of her. Okay, Dr. Tahira. She teaches at UiTM Johor, Pasiguda. She did a PhD at UTM. She completed after 10 years. Okay. Getting someone to graduate before time or on time, maybe it's tough, but getting someone to complete their PhD after 10 years is even tougher. The motivation, the drive, the willingness to go further, to go next mile, it's not easy. Then we have to push them, it's not easy. Okay, and she was crying and crying and crying and crying to me, and finally I decided to help her. And she came to me last year, and within 1st of March, after a Viva, she came to me after a Viva, because completely she has to redo a lot of things. So I my consultant consulted her very, very closely, and I monitored very closely, and she managed to complete by 1st of March. Okay, this is my best achievement for this year. Okay. Literature review. Okay. How other scholars have written about your topic. That's what it's all about. Okay. The range of theories used to analyze materials or data or framework. How other scholars connect their specific research topics to larger issues, questions, or practices within the field. The best methodologies and research techniques for your particular topic. That's all literature review is all about. You are trying to find out whether you're reinventing the wheel or not. What it means by reinventing the wheel? If you realize for centuries, okay, the wheel had always been round, circle in size, circular size, or circular shape. Okay, it's never been rectangular shape and so on. Okay, why? Because it's already optimum. It's running very well. You don't need to redo it. There's no point. Same goes to your research. If you cannot establish a fact that why you have to redo the research or do this research in the first place with literature review, then you're going to struggle. That's why you need very strong literature. Okay. Now, for literature, the most important thing is you must know how to read a paper. Okay. My advice to you is read minimum 1 paper per day. Okay, 1 paper per day. Yeah. But when reading 1 paper per day, do I read the full paper? Okay, what time do I read the paper? Excuse me. My advice to you is read the paper first thing in the morning. Okay, first thing in the morning. Read minimum 1 paper per day. When I say 1 paper per day, not the whole paper. Let me tell you how to read the paper. First, you start reading the abstract. Okay, look at the findings in the abstract and achievement. Okay, from findings and achievement, if you think it's irrelevant, throw it away. Don't read. Okay, next thing. After you read this, you think it's suitable, you go to the next step. Analyze if the finding or research is adequate, okay, from the abstract. If you think okay, continue. If you think not okay, throw it away. All right? Now, read the conclusion. See if there are any limitations. If the limitation that you can develop further. If you think yes, you can get more knowledge, more limitation, more gaps, Okay, good. Continue. Otherwise, throw. With the same knowledge, again and again, you're reading, there's no point. Next, go to the introduction, read up until you reach right before pronoun statement. Analyze under what circumstances are the authors justifying the pronoun statement. That means, what is the motivation? Is it the right motivation or not? Suitable for you to cite or not? Yes? Okay, continue. If no, throw. Next, read the pronoun statement carefully. Figure out if all grounds of the pronouns were covered. Why? You want to find gap. If yes, can find gap, that's good. If still cannot find gap, you continue. Finally, analyze LR and discussion, any assumptions or gaps that the paper left out, or anything more that you can add to the current findings of the paper. This will turn out to be a PhD or new papers. That is how you read step by step. At any point of time, you can always throw a paper away. You don't need to always read the whole thing. And remember, don't if for the next 3 years or 2 years, if you're going to read a paper just to learn knowledge, you will never read it critically. Now you must not read a paper to learn anymore. You should be way past that unless you're starting a PhD. The next stage should be you should read to find problem. That means every sentence you read, every word that you read, you must make sure that you can find a problem. There's something missing there, rather than learning how they've done what they've done. Okay. When I say critical reading, how do you critically read? Okay. First of all, reading critically and creatively. Okay. So you can see critically and creatively. What does it mean? First of all, never assume authors are correct. Okay, never assume never assume a paper that you read are correct. They can be wrong. Okay, they can be wrong. Never assume authors are correct. Be critical, be suspicious. There's always something wrong. There's always a gap that they left that you can fill up. Okay. Critical reading involves asking appropriate questions. What are the questions? Okay, before you go to the question, you must understand some papers may offer new ideas. Some implements the new ideas. Some only bring previous ideas and unite them under a novel framework. Which type you are depends on your research. Okay. Next thing, when you say critically reading, how do you determine that? Very simple. Critical reading can include asking, is this paper worth at all? First question you need to ask. Second question, what problems this author is trying to solve? You must be clear of that. Next thing, is it the right problem? Is it within your scope? Is this what you're looking for? Are there much simpler solutions that you can offer? What about the limitations of the solution? Is there any obvious solution or hidden weakness, limitation? Then yes. Next thing, were the assumptions reasonable? Whatever the assumptions that they have. Can you discredit the work and create a new gap? Can you do that? If yes, you can find a way, then good. Is the methodology rigorous? These are the questions that you should ask when you're reading the paper. Now, next thing, this is finding criticality in a problem. That is finding problem. Let's say if the paper got no problem at all. What can you do there? Okay, if you're reading a paper, reading over and over and over again, and then you tell yourself that I'm not finding any issues at all. I don't find any problem. What am I supposed to do now? Okay, very simple. Now let's read creatively. Okay, what it means creatively means you're creating a new idea altogether. The ideas in the paper have other applications or extensions. This is the question you need to ask. Is there anything else we can do with the current solution or whatever solution they have stopped at? Can we do anything else? Okay, next thing, can the idea be developed further? Okay, you must ask yourself, can the idea be developed further into something else, into other application areas? Think about it. Are there improvements that might make important difference by changing the solution? What would you do next from the author left? Okay, so now let's say there is an algorithm used for blockchain technology. Okay, one particular algorithm used for blockchain technology to optimize and to generate one particular type of coin, one particular type of crypto. Now you want to go and you want to improve the backend of, okay, you have heard that how the particular solution work. You know, this is the whole framework. This is how the blockchain framework works. This is the solution, this is the programming, and so on and so forth. So you know it works very well. Now you want to improve that solution further. You want to take that solution, apply it somewhere else. But you can't just take and apply. That is not contribution. You must take, improve, optimize, and apply it elsewhere. Okay, that is what we call creatively reading. Okay. Answer all the questions above in a literature review or matrix. Okay. So we have a question here. Shahira, exactly. Most students just regurgitate what they read without critically commenting and reading their own research. Yes, they just mention only what they are reading. That is useless. Okay, you must actually answer those questions that I just stated. That would give you some idea, some edge. Okay, over what you're supposed to read. Okay, thank you very much, Ali. Appreciate that. Now coming to Rania Hamdan, Doctor, what about the machine learning? Do you advise us to use it? Depends on your research problem. No one can advise to use what and what not. If your problem is such, you can use machine learning to solve, then you use. But make sure you're good at machine learning. If certain problem you think you can just do quantitative to solve, your supervisor agrees it's strong enough, then go ahead. Research methodology depends on the contribution and the solution. You cannot say, can I use machine learning or not? It all depends on the research. Okay? I hope that answers the question. I'm going to skip this. This is not relevant to you guys because most of you guys are computer science guys. And also this I'm going to skip. Okay, matrix is relevant to you guys. Okay, mostly matrix are used in social science research, but nowadays a lot of computer science engineering also using it. But you cannot find a lot of examples. But if you go to my video, again, my live videos, here is the link again for all the new joiners. Okay, we see the link here. This is the link to direct Telegram group where you can join and be our part of my community, where I'll share a lot of resources when I go live and so on. I'll be sharing here. This is to Facebook group. Make sure you join. This is a Facebook page. Make sure you follow and like. And this is the link to all the free 80 classes that I've conducted so far. And in this link, you can find a video on literature matrix that I've shown example how to do it for information technology. Okay. Thank you, Nuruddin. Appreciate that. So now, from this literature matrix, okay, you can decide to put what information, but usually it's author date, okay, what kind of theory, what kind of algorithm they've used and so on, what is the research objectives, okay, what kind of methodology used, what kind of analysis and results, what is the conclusion, what is the implication of future research, what is the implication for practice, and probably what kind of critical review have you observed in that particular reference. You can fill that out as well, okay. Lenovo. Doctor, could you explain more detail what is you mean establish a writing schedule? That means writing plan. Okay, that means how long I'm going to take to write background, how long I'm going to take to write introduction, how long I'm going to take to write problem statement, and when I'm going to write it. In this month, this whole week, I'm going to write problem statement. Next week, I'm going to write background, and so on and so forth. Okay. Darshan. Doctor, what shall do when we're reading a paper? Don't have idea how to extend it, how we can extend it. You have to be, you have to learn to be creative. What new solution you want to find, what new answers you want to find, it all depends on your skill, your knowledge, and your curiosity. Okay, that is not something that people can feed you unless the supervisor is willing to give you the answer. But if you ask me, you need to find that answer, that particular question. Okay. It is not something that you can get an answer directly. You have to read a lot. Okay. All right. As you fill this up, okay, at least with 20 or 30 papers, you will see a trend. Okay. You will see a trend or a shape that emerge in terms of research in your own area. A paradigm will emerge. From there, you will know what is missing out in the whole scale of research. All right. Okay, methodology. Okay, you guys don't usually use methodology, quantitative that much, so this is not so relevant to you. Not so much. Experiment, yes. Okay, empirical experiment, data collection, building system, building software, and so on. Simulation, yes. And probably mathematical modeling as well. Okay, whatever methodology you use, make sure in computer science, if you want to publish a lot of papers, it must be hands-on. If you just run simulation and say this is the result, sometimes you can, most of the time you can't get into ISI Q1 journals and so on and so forth. Okay. When I was doing theoretical development simulation, I was getting rejection from Globcom, from ICC, from IEEE journals and so on. Okay, only 2 papers for my simulation I managed to publish in ISI Q1, okay, because I created my own equation. Okay, I actually, this is my first ISI journal. IEEE Photonics technology letter. Let me very quickly share it with you. But it's totally simulation and theoretical based. Okay, so this is my what do you call it? My Google Scholar. I only have 710 citations so far. It's not climbing very fast because I have stopped publishing a lot. Right? So let me show you this particular paper. Not this. This one. This is the paper. Okay, so this is the paper went into IEEE Photonics technology letters. The impact factor is I think 2.8 or 2.9 now. It's Q1. So if you see here, this paper didn't have any experiment whatsoever. Okay, it's purely mathematical derivation and simulation. Okay, but still I managed to get into ISI Q1 because from my derivation of all this, from all my derivatives, okay, I managed to come up with this equation. This is a new finding equation, okay, that explains a transition process, a time domain process of a laser. Okay, I don't know what if you guys know what is laser. Laser, I mean the optical laser. Okay, you see in Star Wars, right? They use the sword to cut and so on. This is more of a laser they use for data transmission, not that Star Wars kind of laser. All right. So this is an equation that I created that I contributed. So if you ask me what kind of contribution I need to have for ISI Q1, this is the kind of contribution that you must look into if you're not running experiment. Okay. If you just want to do simulation, MATLAB, I run algorithm, I want to have results and then publish an ISI Q1, you can, but you must have a lot of mathematical element. Okay. All right. Yes, that is right, Asma. It's not all the times you have equations, so you got to find one. Another example I have as well. Another example, also simulation, but this one is even more high level. I published in Optics Express, impact factor 3.8. Let me show that as well. Okay. These optics letters. Here, this one. Okay, these are collaborative papers that I published with my French colleague. This paper was the easiest paper ever published in my life and one of the highest impact factor ever. So this was when I was with Birmingham and also when I was with TMR&D and worked together with Grenoble, France. Okay, this is a purely mathematical modeling paper. Okay, it's filled with mathematical derivation. Okay, I derived the whole process of my system and first time ever important results in simulation, okay, that I've actually shown, and it eventually resulted in this publication. The mathematical derivation helped a lot. If you can see here, I submitted 27 January 2014, sorry, received 1st November 2013, revised 3rd January, that means within 2 months, accepted 7th January. I published this Q1 paper within 2 months. Okay, so apply a lot of mathematics. You cannot ignore, right? These are just examples for you, right? So remember one thing, this is only, results are only important if you did well in previous sections. Otherwise, readers will be bored and probably won't even read it. Keep that in mind. So how do we usually guide students through consultancy process? Okay, before I go to the rest, let me explain how do we assist students who are struggling, who actually needs help. Okay, throughout the step, usually you can focus on individual steps where you are, depending on that. Okay, my advice to you is only proofread when required. Don't proofread all the time. Unless supervisor is very fussy, they require very good language and so on, then you need to proofread all the time. But otherwise, these are the only places where you need to proofread, whether you're proofreading on your own or you're hiring someone. These are the two places. But usually, content related problem, you need coaching and so on would be these kind of places. Okay, this kind of areas. So what do we do to help students? Very simple. First one, we do something called content commenting, mode 1. I call the mode 1 service content commenting. That means, let's say you finish writing something, you need very important critical comments. We will provide those comments for you to know where you are actually very weak, at which point. Okay. Next thing, face-to-face or online coaching. All right. This is something that we do after content commenting. We will do online coaching to explain to you, or in certain cases, we have never started writing anything, you can immediately come to online coaching. Okay. Next thing, we have something called accelerated thesis consultancy. This is something applicable for what they call that high level clients, like they are CEOs and they are they are very busy and so on. This one is purely guided. That means we will tell you at this point you have to finish background. This is the literature where you can find. Once upon writing, we will review the document. We will tell them these are the problems. Please improve this and so on. Okay. And finally, mode 4 is what I call content editing for special cases only. Okay, only for special cases at special requests. Okay, so those are our consultancy steps. When it comes to result and discussion, don't forget when you provide a result, please assure that you describe all the important elements, okay, all the important elements. Don't miss out anything. Everything you must explain, including interpretations, declaring opinions, explaining effects of findings, and making suggestions, predictions. Discussions must answer RQ or in your case RO. Okay, research objectives. In addition, justify why that event took place. You must justify why you could achieve the objectives. Okay, introduce some theories to justify the event or mathematics. Okay, perhaps credit some famous authors who had experienced something similar if and only if required. Okay. Conclusion is extremely important, very, very important. Okay. Start by introducing what you did, highlight the contributions, highlight the impacts. If I were you, I would minimize future work because you know why? This will give you more papers. So don't reveal your ideas that much. Okay. Finally, defending your thesis or proposal or reviewers' comments, but most important, thesis and proposal defense. Don't panic and make sure you go and watch my video on 25 common questions. Okay, already resulted in so far within 1 or 2 months 3 minor corrections during PhD. One Nottingham, one UKM, I think one more is UPM, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so go and watch this video again. The link I gave earlier to the full playlist of all the videos. Okay, this is production tips. Once you complete the first draft, shut it down, take a break. Why? That way you can refresh, and when you read it through again, you'll find more problems, more obvious problems that you probably would have missed out. Okay? Don't assume your reader understands everything. Explain and be descriptive. Make sure the ideas are well structured in the paper. Avoid all over the place method. Assure that every paragraph has continuity. Avoid disconnected paragraph. This is where most supervisors find problem, because they cannot understand from one sentence to another. They won't be able to follow. Polish and always polish. Remember, get a solid editor. Very important, because if your communication is not clear in thesis or papers, no one can understand what you're trying to say. Okay? Get solid editor to proofread and edit your material. Get someone with experience in publishing. Okay? And PhD thesis. All right? Someone already graduated PhD. Why? Because let me ask you a question. Can a non-PhD graduate supervise your PhD? They can't. Similarly, they shouldn't proofread your thesis as well, because they don't know what to expect, what you should have in the thesis, and so on and so forth. Okay? This is the most important document that you should have before you submit your final copy to your thesis, to your graduate school, or your papers, publication, professional proofreading certificate. And make sure those are endorsed by professional bodies. Okay, and make sure you submit this. I realize this one is something we give to our clients by default. Okay, Nuruddin, what is all over the place method? That means you suddenly write about introduction here about something else, and then suddenly the next paragraph is talking about something else, and then the third paragraph is talking about entirely different contexts. That means they are not a funnel. Okay, they are not flowing well. Okay, so make sure you submit this document whenever your proofreader provides this to you, whoever that can be. Okay, don't avoid submitting this. Very, very crucial. Okay, I've seen a paper from USM, from chemical department. I've seen a paper, this is my personal experience 2 years ago, was rejected in advance, Elsevier paper. Then the client basically complained to me, Dr. Noor Haida. She complained, and then I gave her the certificate of proof and I asked her to resubmit because she said she never submit. I said, you resubmit with this certificate, let's try and see. She resubmitted within 2 months, minor revision, third month paper accepted. Okay, because you know why? Our names, the non-English names, gives a lot of concern when it comes to English. Unfortunately, it's biased that way. Okay. When do I proofread my thesis and avoid scammers? This is a true story. I'll share all this later. But now, let me tell you when do you submit thesis for proofreading once the entire supervisory committee agreed on the content of the thesis. Don't submit before that if you can. Okay? Always respect your supervisor. Make sure they agree with your content before you go for proofreading. All right? But let's say some people say, my supervisor wants to know how's my language. My supervisor wants to make sure the language is good first before what do you call that, before they read my thesis. Okay, so then I say, okay, fine. Then you go ahead and proofreading, editing, and structuring services. But if your supervisor change something, make sure you highlight the difference. Okay, highlight the changes so that we can only charge you for the new parts, not the whole thesis. That is a waste of money. Okay. How if my examiner still complain on my language? Don't worry. We will provide language warranty. A proofreader by default should provide language warranty, provided you don't make any changes. Okay, that's very important. Okay, can I rush through my thesis proofread process? Okay, this is a story I'll share with you later. You can read, you can go through, you can understand this. Okay, basically the client came to me in very short time. Let me give you a summary. He only gave me 2 weeks to proofread the whole thesis. I said no in November 2019. He went and chose someone who actually did it for the money and resulted him in getting a major revival. Okay, because the language was so poor, he had to revive the whole thing. And then came back to me for consultancy on the content and proofread all over again. Right. So my advice to you is have at least minimum 1 month for your thesis before you start proofreading. Okay, 1 month minimum required. All right. How your document must be after proofreading. This is something I always get in terms of question. What should I expect? Because someone is paying you money, you guys want to pay money. You guys want to know what should I expect the outcome will be. Many don't know what to expect. Okay, this is an example. This is Dr. Hero's paper. After going through paraphrasing, proofreading, editing, structuring, this is the amount of changes that you can expect. Okay, and successfully published after our very strong process. Okay, next thing is this one, a recent paper by Dr. Senbong Lim from UKM. Also, these are the amount of changes that you can expect. From paper or thesis, they are the same. Paraphrasing, proofreading, editing, and structuring. All right. This is a paper that was published in MTPA Sustainability, most recently. Okay, what kind of services you should expect for which in terms of proofreading? Very simple. For thesis, I always recommend proofreading, editing, and structuring. Why structuring? Because it improves the cohesiveness, coherence, correlation, and continuity between sentence to sentence and paragraph to paragraph flow. Okay, if you're aiming for ISI journals and so on, I would always recommend you to also add paraphrasing. Okay, but if you're writing thesis, you have budget constraint, don't worry, we're offering up to 30% off, which includes proofreading, translation, formatting services only for MCO. But since we are still MCO, you guys are still lucky. And the discount also comes with language warranty. So don't worry if there's any problem with examiners, okay, or reviewers. This is our most recent graduate, Dr. Salahuddin, just a couple of weeks back, passed with minor correction. And this is a real proof from the chairman himself who actually asked if there's any grammatical error to the examiner, spelling error, formatting error. Examiner said no error at all. Okay, so this is an example of how the thesis will look like after paraphrasing, proofreading, editing, and structuring. Okay, always remember anyone can write. Okay, anyone can write, but a piece of writing that everyone can understand is hard to come by. Remember that. You can understand your writing, but not everyone can. So it's very hard to come by a writing that everyone can understand. So sharpen your English or get a proofreader. If you want to sharpen your English, my advice to you is read papers every day. See how they have constructed the sentences. From that, you will be able to understand and synthesize how to write English. Okay? These are the papers that I'll be sharing with you. This one probably not important for you, but this would be good. Theorizing conceptual framework, Distinguishing between theory, theoretical framework, conceptual framework, systematic review. You can see how to write the systematic review paper. I'll also share the slides with you so that it will go along with the video that is being recorded now. How to obtain all these notes and this slide? You must fill up the feedback form. Okay, I think Dr. Gunn will share with you guys again. Make sure you fill up the feedback form so that I'll be emailing all the notes and the slides to you guys. Okay. And also don't forget, you can also get it. I'll be also sharing it soon in the Telegram group. So I already shared the link earlier for the Telegram group and also all my Facebook groups. Make sure you go and join. Okay. What to do if you're stuck? Don't worry. I have over 96 consultants in various areas, but not so many in computer science. I think computer science I only have 1 or 2 consultants. It's very, very hard to get consultants in computer science area. Very hard. Okay. So if you're stuck, you can always come back for following areas. Okay. And this is where we are located in Cyberjaya. Okay, this is our address. I'll be sharing this link with all of you. I think you guys are very active. Probably you will need other areas that you want me to focus on. I'll be releasing a new set of classes for the next live sessions on Facebook. So I'll be sharing this link with you. Please go to this link, hit 5-star for the class today that I've conducted, if you don't mind. And also, in the comment column within this link, please type down what you want me to conduct for the next upcoming Facebook free classes live on Facebook. Okay, so click this link, hit 5-star, and make sure you write down the comment column what you want to learn in the next class. All right. So with that, also upcoming workshops, experiential Elsevier Q1 journal writing workshop, the only Q1 template in the world based on Elsevier journal. Let me just, this one is a mistake that I did. Okay. Right. Save that. Okay. Okay, so this is Q1 general writing on 30th July. Okay, I'll be giving the link shortly. And also next one is workshop on proofreading to paraphrasing coming up on 6th of August. Okay, so this is the link if you're interested to join the workshop. This is the link right there. Okay, and they also have this is not organized by me, this is organized by Bofin. I'm just a speaker there. Bundle dates RM 270, 10% off if you take both classes, or 5% off if you bring a friend. Okay, all of these are conducted online. Okay, Didek, Prof, do you have an address in Indonesia? Not yet, not there yet. Okay, don't worry, probably soon. All right, not there yet. Actually, as a matter of fact, I just had a very important conversation with University of Layalanga. So most likely we are going to work together very soon on that. Okay. So thank you very much. All right. So we are done. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thavamaran, for your great and interesting talk.
Thank you very much.
It is a pleasure to have you here.